Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. Drama at Pocono Raceway, World of Outlaws invade Pennsylvania to take on the Pennsylvania Posse. So much more to go over and everything to preview on Crew Chief Corner this week, so let's get into it. Well, let's go through what just happened at Pocono Raceway, where Denny Hamlin takes the checker flag in a dramatic fashion after a late race restart against Kyle Larson, who was looking to get the checker flag, and a late caution around 10 laps to go comes out. A lot of fans were pissed off at the outcome. You could hear the raining of boos, and you could see, let's just say, garbage that was getting thrown at Denny Hamlin while on the track after getting that win. The big drama was Denny Hamlin gets a push on Kyle Larson going to turn one at Pocono. Dives down low. Larson goes a little bit high, and the higher line that he should have. Kind of missed that corner. Denny doesn't give him any room. They go side by side. Denny rides him high and gets Larson into the wall. It's very similar to what Denny Hamlin did last year at the Pocono race against Ross Chastain. Wasn't necessarily dirty, but a very disrespectful move, as it seems Denny's caught up in this type of situations, and it seems to be going against Larson a lot, and it seems like Denny ends up putting Larson on the wall more often than not when they're racing for the win. I get it, you're racing for a win, trying to get as many wins as you can during the season. That's what is key in NASCAR these days. But I see it more on Larson's point than Denny's point, where Denny could have lifted a little bit more, not rode him up high, and they both could have went the backstretch and fought for it at the tunnel turn. Larson obviously was in every right pissed off, but he and Denny are good friends. They're going to get past this and move on, and unfortunately just see this happen too often with Denny versus Larson. So you might see different outcomes next time they race side by side like that. Denny's point was that Larson could have just lifted and they went down towards the tunnel turn. Again, it goes both ways. You're racing for a win, so more a disrespectful move from Denny to Larson than anything. Not necessarily a dirty move, not like completely just right hooked him in the front stretch or anything. So nothing you could do really about it. Nothing illegal was done, and it affected Larson's outcome. Ended up 21st. Denny Hamlin gets the win at Pocono, his 7th all-time, and he is, I think, the leader now at Pocono Raceway with wins. So he obviously knows how to get around that place. As controversial as it was, he still gets the win and had impressive fashion at that particular track. Moving to the Xfinity Series, Austin Hill wins in a late race dramatic fashion too. All these races at Pocono were amazing. They had really crazy finishes. Austin Hill gets the win after wreck happens late, brings out the caution. Austin Hill gets ahead of Josh Berry late, and I think Josh Berry gets caught up in a wreck later on. But Austin Hill's ahead when the caution flag flew and gets that win. Late race win for Kyle Busch in the Truck Series. He gets his 100th win for his truck team for Kyle Busch Motorsports. In crazy fashion, last lap, he timed it perfectly. Gets the pass at right off of turn 1. Going into the tunnel turn, he just had more experience than Corey Heim there, and it showed. And that's the only positive really thing that Kyle Busch had that weekend, because it was not his day going for the in the Cup race at all. A bunch of struggles there, but overall, Pocono put on some really good shows. The crowd was insane on Sunday for the Cup race. It was the biggest crowd since 2010. I mean, it was packed out. the biggest single grandstands that there are in sports. So that was pretty cool to see it packed, and it was really good racing. The packages that NASCAR's brought for the Cup Series for these bigger tracks has been very good racing. They just still can't figure out the short tracks. It's getting better, but it's still not quite there. But Pocono put on a heck of a show for all three series. Drama, obviously late race cautions, strategy, how it all played out. It was really enjoyable to watch, and I know the fans definitely got their money's worth. You had enough wrecks, enough passes for the lead, all over weekend, and it didn't rain. So that was definitely surprising to see in the Pocono Mountains, but really cool for the sport for there. Later on, right before we get to Crew Chief Corner, I'm going to do power ranking. My first power ranking reveal, I'm doing NASCAR, Cup Series, and the World of Outlaws top 5 power rankings. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Moving on from NASCAR, we're going into NHRA. Top Fuel winner was Steve Torrance as my pick, so finally get something right in drag race. It's probably my best week in picks, honestly. If Kyle Larson would have won, it would have put it over the top for me. But it was Steve Torrance coming out of the way. Now, I knew it was a matter of time until he broke through and got a Wally himself. Tim Wilkerson gets the win in Funny Car, so big time win for him to get some more momentum in this Western Swing. And Gage Herrera, shocker, gets the win in Pro Stock Motorcycles. There's no Pro Stock racing there this week in Seattle, and they are heading towards Sonoma. We'll preview that later with my dad on Crew Chief Corner. IndyCar, it was all about Penske domination. Penske gets the win and runner-up in both races. Joseph Newgarden dominates both the races, though. He is killing it on ovals, and now he's closing in on the championship points lead against Alex Palou. We'll see how that holds off when they go to more road courses and gets towards the last month or two of the season. So it's getting exciting and shaping up to be a great finish. Scott McLaughlin gets second in the first race to make it 1-2 Penske on Saturday. And then Will Power ends up getting second behind Joseph Newgarden on Sunday. Iowa's an awesome track, and I wish NASCAR would go back there and bring the Cup Series too. The Cup Series would put on a heck of a show, I think. It would bring obviously a tremendous crowd. There's a great crowd there for the Indy cars, and it was an exciting event that they had. I mean, they had Carrie Underwood. They had a bunch of different concerts. I mean, it was crazy. I think Zack Brown Band was there. It was awesome. Bringing NASCAR to Iowa would be incredible for the NASCAR Cup Series. I think it's better than going to the Chicago Street Course. I think you're going to get a much better fan turnout at the track, and I think you would get great TV ratings as well, especially if you make it a night race. Iowa at nighttime is an incredible track. Really cool to see the IndyCar there. They fly around there. That race happened fast. So that was cool to see. So congrats to Joseph Newgarden, and he is slowly reeling in Alex Palou for that points lead. All right, we're going on to the SRX series. Ryan Newman gets the win in the SRX, which came very close to getting that Stafford sweep. You had him closing on a Denny Hamlin last week, and it rained and shortened the race, obviously, and Denny Hamlin's in the lead, and Newman was catching him, though, and Newman knows how to get around Stafford, so cool to see Newman do that after that Daytona 500 wreck, a few years ago. People didn't even know if he would be alive, let alone racing, so having the success he is in the SRX is really cool to see. So congrats to Newman, and SRX moves on to week 3 this week. And the Motor Mile. And moving on to the World of Outlaws, going to a little bit on dirt now. World of Outlaws comes back to BAP Speedway, which also known as Susquehanna Speedway, or Susky as we all call it. First time in 31 years. And I got this one right, and obviously awesome. David Gravel gets the win at Susky and improves his point lead, at least that day. It starts getting wild. World of Outlaws look to be dominating against the PA Posse all week as they go into Williams Grove on Friday as the first night of the Summer Nationals, but this is the Morgan Cup race that they're racing for as it rained out earlier this year. Crazy finish on this one. Brad Sweet looked like he had it in the bag, was just dominating all night, and comes off turn 3 and 4, and all of a sudden, I mean, even the PA announcers are like, what happened? Logan Schuchart gets the pass, comes off of turn 4, has a huge run and photo finish. I think it was like 72 1,000ths of a second, and beats Brad Sweet. So the $1 Million Man, the guy from Pennsylvania, Logan Schuchart, for Shark Racing, he gets the big time win, gets the Morgan Cup. So cool to see that. So if you're going to have any outlaw win, I guess it would be the guy that's from Pennsylvania up there for him. Logan Schuchart's coming on now, so it's getting good in the Outlaws. The second night was all about the big guy, Rico Abreu, putting on a clinic there in dominating fashion, gets the win in the Summer Nationals, $20,000 to win. And the cool thing was that Rico made a stop at Beer Hill. If you know anything about Williams Grove, there's a section called Beer Hill, and the Beer Hill gang and everything. Rico goes up there and finds a beer and chugs it while he's still got his helmet on right before he hits the victory lane. So, and he climbs the fence and all that. So cool for Rico to do that. It was really neat, and it wasn't an outlaw that won, so that always helps too. Rico having a heck of a year, so really cool to see that. All right, we're heading to the All-Star Circuit of Champions. They started off the week racing for the Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup race at Lernerville. Well, to no surprise, Kyle Larson comes away with a victory at Lernerville to get his second in a row Silver Cup there. I mean, what can you say? Larson put on another show. That's really all you gotta say. You just go back and watch it, see the highlights. Larson wasn't the fastest all night, but he continued to work on it, put himself in position, and ran it harder than anybody did, and was mistake-free in the feature, and gets that big-time win at Lernerville. And they the All-Stars head to 34 Raceway, and I got this pick right. Zeb Wise comes away with the win at 34. Dominating fashion there. He had a poor performance at Lernerville, so this is a big bounce back race for him. And Zeb Wise now the driver's point leader, not the owner's point leader. It's to the 7BC. Since Macrae's been running very solid for Tyler Courtney in his absence. Heading to Spoon River and Red Hill, this was all about the North Pole Nightmare, and everybody's still up thinking about it with all the bad dreams they're going to have all weekend long. Bill Baylog Bill Baylog, the North Pole Nightmare, wins both races, goes flag to flag, dominating fashion against the All-Stars, and just whips them. So good for him, good for the North Pole Nightmare, and good for representing Alaska. I think he lives in Wisconsin or something now, but congrats to him, and big time wins coming back to back on a long week, and a long week coming up for All-Stars as well. Another 4 races this week. All right. So here's what I'm starting this week, and the list will keep changing. It just you kind of dive in to see where the drivers are now and what their recent performance is and what their momentum is going through the year. So we're going with the power rankings, starting with the NASCAR Cup Series. So top 5 drivers, in my opinion, for the NASCAR Cup Series. At number 5, continuing to be solid, consistent, putting on performances, and where the heck did he come from? He's earned his nickname, the closer, definitely this year. Maybe he'll close out a championship on his final year. Kevin Harvick at number 5. Number 4, the one that was on the bad end of hitting a wall and costing a big win for him at Pocono Raceway, but still overall running solid and just not quite getting those wins, but consistently being in the top 5, Kyle Larson. At number 3, the man that just won at Pocono Raceway. You can't deny how good he's been these last few races. Controversy, yes, winning at Pocono, but I got Denny Hamlin at number 3. And at number 2, how can you really go against this guy who's got the most wins this year with 4 wins? Got to go with William Byron at number 2. And the number 1 power ranking driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. Can't really deny him at all this year. He's been so great. Awesome to see this big bounce back year. I've said it before, he's the championship favorite. Martin Truex Jr., number 1 in my first edition of NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings. All right, the other power ranking I'm doing is the World of Outlaws. And again, this is fluid. It could change each and every week. But we're starting at number 5. Guy that's won the King's Royal, King Donnie the 40th, been consistent, had a little bit of a fall off at the end of the PA races, but I got Donnie Schatz. At number 4, gets a win in Pennsylvania, keeps his momentum going. The $1 Million Man himself, Logan Schuchart at number 4. Number 3, keeping it close in the championship contention. Had that scary wreck in Knoxville, but knocking out some big wins recently. And being consistent, being very fast. Can't deny him right now. Carson Macedo at number 3. Number 2. It's a 2-car battle right now at the top. How close it is. You could really put in Carson at 3-car battle. But the one guy that had a win in the bag for the Summer Nationals and gets past last second. But he's had some good races throughout and been very consistent. Can't really go against them too. The big cat, Brad Sweet, at number 2. And at number 1, I think it goes without saying, he's leading the point standings right now. Been fastest car week in and week out. David Gravel at number 1 in the World of Outlaw, first edition of my power rankings. All right, everybody. Well, we got all that preview. We got the power rankings in. Let's go ahead, welcome my dad in to Crew Chief Corner. And Crew Chief Corner is brought to you by Lickety Lou's All-Purpose Booyah Sauce. 3 different flavors, original, spicy, and yellow. Go ahead, check them out at licketyloos.com. See what all they got. Get ready for the summertime. Keep it up. Good stuff. Lickety Lou's. All right, Dad, back for another week of your segment. Kicking off this week is the High Limit Series on Tuesday night. They're back in action at Grandview in Pennsylvania. So tell us a little bit about that track and what we can look forward to with the High Limit Series going there.
Grandview is in eastern Pennsylvania. It's normally they run modifieds there every week. So it's one of those tracks where the corners are a bit wider. They probably call it a 3/8. It races smaller than a 3/8. When the track's nice, the sprint cars can absolutely fly around that place. They usually put on a real good show. Dyson through lap traffic's going to get whoever picks that right line is going to have the advantage for there. Unfortunately, looking at the forecast, rain does not look real good for Tuesday night in eastern Pennsylvania.
What's it look like for Wednesday? I know they've rescheduled, moved it a day after the race before.
Yeah, I didn't really pay that much attention, but hopefully that if it's going to rain, do it early and get it over with.
Unfortunately, if it does rain, a lot of the All-Star racers that race in that series, they would have to forego that because All-Stars are racing Wednesday through Saturday this week.
I don't think any of the All-Stars are going to be here.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, the All-Stars are pretty far away.
Yeah, because they got to go the whole way to Missouri.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how far that is from Eastern Pennsylvania, but that's going to be. So I really don't expect any full-time All-Star racers to be here. So car counts could be a little on the lower side, surprisingly, but they had like 26 confirmed entries. Like Dietrich wasn't on that list yet. He's going to run. I'm sure there'll be a few more Pennsylvania local cars that show up for that race.
yeah, it'll definitely be interesting, especially a small track, small area like that. And Grandview was thought to be kind of extinct until a couple years ago when they started reinvigorating it with some more sprint car racing. And Larson was putting on good shows in PA Speed Week there, and that's why he likes this track. He wanted to bring it to the High Limit Series.
He's smart getting it into this area. There must be some kind of deal where he can't run the tracks that Outlaws run. I'm wondering because
Lincoln
more of a central Pennsylvania track would have probably been better. I know they like the smaller tracks. Lincoln, Susquehanna, something like that. But They're going to pack the place for the Grandview. Like I said, they run modifieds there. They only run sprint cars a couple times a year. Pennsylvania is a big race there, so they're to come see different cars that you don't get to see every week. They're going to pack the place.
And that also helps with the Kyle Larson effect as well. Everybody wants to see him race.
For sure.
And there are obviously a lot of Kyle Larson fans at the Pocono race too, and they'll be showing up for Grandview, definitely. All right, well, without further ado, let's go in with our pick for the High Limit Series at Grandview. Who you got going into this one?
Well, I think he's still pissed from Sunday. He's going to take it out on the dirt guys. Kyle Larson.
I thought the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's running a little extra hard in this one.
Yeah,
he might put a whipping on people. He might get the pole and say, "Hey, I'm gonna decide to go do the roll dice," and ends up starting 12th or something and just puts on a show.
That'd be cool. I hope that happens.
Yep. So we'll see. It's only one day away, so I'm excited about that. Today's really the only day without racing.
Yeah. There's so much racing going on. Especially just after having some of the big races, and we got Knoxville coming up. I'm really surprised they have this much racing going on. The All-Stars, especially, they're really going to be hauling this week.
Well, the All-Stars had their big break, and I think this is where their schedule gets pretty tough, and kind of will separate those in championship contention and everything who can win it. Unfortunately, Tyler Courtney, unless he comes back anytime soon, he's pretty much out of the championship running now.
I think Zeb Wise is probably the favorite to win that right now. He seems to be week in, week race in, race out the most consistent. Him and Tyler Courtney were probably the two best cars.
Yeah. Well, good transition going into the All-Stars. Again, they got 4 races in a row this week, starting Wednesday night at Benton Speedway. Any notes on that Speedway?
No, I was looking it up. I really couldn't find much on the way of video. Anything from anything recent. What I've seen, it looks like is slick. It usually has a pretty decent cushion, so I think somebody that can haul around the cushion has a real good shot at winning this one. It looks like it's probably a 3/8 mile. It's a little hard to tell on video. There really wasn't a whole lot of information on the track, so I don't know if they haven't been there in quite a while or if it's not a normal track.
There have been a lot of tracks they've been to, like last week or yesterday at Red Hill. Was it Red Hill or was it the other one? I think it was Red Hill. The first time they've been there, I want to say the 410s ever, the way they were talking. And I like that track. It was a really, really good race. It was a really nice track. Had a very good crowd. So this could be one of those type of speedways where a lot of unknowns, but you bring in sprint cars, they put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, especially just this year the racing has been good. Even the winner's been starting on the front row.
It's not easy.
They haven't driven away and hit. It's been a battle in all the series. So it's it's a good time to be a race fan right now, especially for dirt sprint cars.
Yep. All right. Well, having a cushion running on the outside kind of gives me a little bit of confidence booster who I picked. Who do you got?
Got the same pick, I bet. Anthony Macri.
Yep.
when I saw the video and there was one guy and he couldn't run it like Macri can, and I was like, you know what? I can see Macri just balls in that thing around there.
He's running.
He wasn't too bad this last race. He's picked up, being in a different car. I think he's got a real good shot.
Each and every race, he's gotten more and more used to it. You can see him running harder and harder, and he's probably a little more reserved to start off with. Doesn't want to wreck people's equipment or anything, but now he's gotten used to it. Yeah, he's ready to run it hard. So yeah, I think that's a. They're still leading the championship points of the owners' points, so it's still big for them to keep running consistent with him, and it's impressive. And I think you're going to see him get a big ride next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Going into Thursday, they're going to Lake Ozark Speedway. I'm going to guess this is the Midwest as well.
Yep, in Eldon, Missouri. It's a 1/3 mile high bank, tight bull ring racing. So I think this is one I'm looking forward to seeing. I like to watch the sprint cars on them, the small high bank things. I think you're going to see just some big time sliders going in and out through lap traffic, splitting them 3 wide. I think that's going to be an exciting race.
Well, that's how Atomic Speedway's kind of set up too.
It looks very similar to Atomic, but a little smaller.
And Atomic put on heck of races this year. So yeah, that'll definitely be really cool to see. Who you got in that race?
I'm going to go a little different on this one. I was kind of battling back and forth, and I don't think I've picked this guy yet this year, so we're going to give him a shot. Aaron Reitzel.
Okay. And I've got Zeb Wise for this one. The most consistent driver in the All-Star Series. He'll be up there.
Yeah, it's kind of the low-hanging fruit there, Zach.
Well, I mean, I didn't pick him for every single race. Actually, that's the
I didn't either. I got him for one.
I got different ones each race, so I mean, I'm mixing it up. So yeah, I've got a different. Actually, these next two, I'm shaking it up a little bit. I-70 Motorsports Park is the next race. That is Friday night for the All Stars.
Yeah, back to the 3/8 mile clay oval. That one's in Odessa, Missouri. I didn't really watch a whole lot of video on it. I know they've raced there, between them and the Outlaws raced there plenty of times. The Missouri tracks look like they're pretty nice. Looks like they got nice clay, so I think you're going to see where you got a top and a bottom for most of the race. So I think it's going to be a normal deal. It's important to time trial good. You got to, the winner's going to come out of the dash for sure.
Yeah, you've got to kind of get lucky in the dash too to have the redraw, and you got to probably be top 5 to start into. And I think the dash, at least the last couple of races, depends how many people sign up, but they've only had 6 people in the dash, so that makes it a little bit better. Not having a redraw goes to 8, or sometimes you've seen 9 people. Right. That starts getting a little ridiculous, and that's a little too far back. You're not going to win these races from there, more than likely.
Yeah, it's hard. You got a 5-lap dash on a 3/8 mile track, and you're starting 8th. You might pass a car or two on the initial start.
They have 6 laps on the dash. They give them that. They give them the whole 6 laps on these small tracks. All right, I-70 Motorsports Park. Who's your pick for this one?
I took the low-hanging fruit on this one, Zeb Wise.
I'm going with a pick I have not picked this year. I don't think either one of us has picked. I'm going with Cy Lynch for this race.
Okay. He had a pretty good run.
Yep.
This last weekend.
Yep, he had a bunch of surprise guys were up mixing it up for the top 5s and everything the past week. So it was definitely cool to see a little bit of mix up in the All Stars. Final race this week, they're going to one of the most famous tracks in motorsports, Knoxville Raceway.
Yep, Knoxville, the black dirt out in Iowa. Anybody seen sprint cars knows that track. It's going to be fast. The track's going to be in good shape. Big half mile.
And you'll see a bunch of local guys at Knoxville that race for their championship. They'll be mixing it up in this race too.
Yeah, don't count out some of the local guys. Like
They know the track the best.
Like Brian Brown runs there every week. He's a great racer, and some of the local guys, very similar to Pennsylvania guys, get around their own track. I mean, that's for sure.
Yep. I think Brian Brown might actually be the points leader at Knoxville. If I'm not mistaken. I think that's what they're talking about, the Eldora Million. Good preview for them. I don't know if I don't think they race the same weekend as Knoxville Nationals, so I would assume these guys can race in the Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah, all these guys are going to be there for Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah, so good little, I guess, practice run for them. It'll be a completely different track, but at least, at the very least, we've talked about it before. It could be a confidence booster if you can do well in this one.
It's the track's still going to race the same, no matter if it's tacky or slick. It still drives different than most of the other tracks. Just the way you approach the corners and different things like that.
All right. Well, who's your pick for Knoxville?
So this one got a little bit different. They have him listed that he's from Des Moines, Iowa. He's in at least last week, so I don't know if he's still in the car. This has been going around. He's been in the 55 that Hunter Schoenberg was in. So I got Kerry Madsen.
Oh yeah, the Madman, Kerry Madsen. He had some good runs this past weekend.
Hometown boy from Iowa.
I'm going with a completely different route. Haven't picked him this year as well. He had some solid runs these past few races this weekend. Like I said, I enjoy watching the races on Flow this weekend. I've got the law firm Parker Price Miller for this one.
I had him in my consideration pile there.
Some of these nicknames are pretty awesome. I think my favorite though is the North Pole Nightmare. I think that's pretty.
That's pretty cool. It's hard to top that one.
Moving in, staying on dirt, the Outlaws are going to Weed Sport back-to-back nights, but they're actually Saturday and Sunday night this week.
Oh, I didn't even notice it was Saturday and Sunday. That's odd for them.
Yeah, All-Stars raced there earlier this year, so it's the Outlaws' turn to race there.
Yep, another one of those modified tracks where you get the wide corners. This one's actually kind of neat. It's a D-shaped oval. The backstretch really is a curve the whole way around. So it's
kind of like Richmond there. Though it's not as big, but
yeah, except to be the reverse. But it's like going into turn one, it's tight going into one, and you get the wide sweeping turn the whole way in through turn three, and then then you're a tight turn coming back off. So it's setup can be very important on this one to try to get, you want the good run. You don't want to scrub the speed coming off that tight turn.
Got to have it very technical in this race for both races too. So I don't have a sweep. I thought about doing a sweep this weekend, but I don't think you're really going to see sweeps happen. I don't think there has been a sweep this year in Outlaws. There have been a few in All-Stars, but there's too many good drivers in the Outlaws this year I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's tough. It's you even get the one guy might win one night, and might run 10th or 12th the next night. It's
Well, go ahead and give me your Saturday pick. Your first race.
Saturday pick, I got David Gravel.
I swear you're stealing my notes. I've got David Gravel as well for Saturday. All right, Sunday night. Let's see how much you're reading my notes.
Carson Macedo.
Son of a bitch. I have him as well. All right, screw it. We're gonna have the same picks for Outlaws.
What are you gonna do?
We don't have any of the same.
Alike.
We only have one pick the same in All Star, so there we go. And I've done pretty well on the dirt picks overall, especially All Stars. I don't know why I've done really well at the All Star picks. That's been the better picks for me. All right, we're going to move over on to asphalt tracks. We're going to start off with the NHRA action at Sonoma. It's the last of their West Coast swing right now.
Yeah, so we're back to Northern California, same facility where they run the Cup races on the road course. And anybody's ever if you watch the Cup races, you notice the drag strip kind of running down through right there at the turn 11 or whatever it is, coming back towards the start finish line.
Yep.
So cool. It's it's a neat track. It's good air up there. You're going to see some fast speeds, I think. And weird, there's no pro stock the last two
Yeah, I didn't even see that from the last time, and we picked a winner anyways, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize. Yeah, they only raced in Colorado, and then they didn't travel any further than that. So
Yeah, normally the motorcycles have not been. So this is the first time the motorcycles have been to all three and have a chance for the complete Western sweep.
yeah, and
And I think they're going to get it. Just
yeah,
preview.
I mean, well, let's get into it, and I guarantee we have the same pick on the motorcycles like we have been.
Yeah, I mean, until somebody beats him, he's the man on top. Gage Herrera on the Vance
Yeah,
Hines Suzuki.
yeah, and he got beat once, like legitimately beat once. He red lighted once, and that was on him. But he actually got beat once, which probably was like a flat. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but I just have to assume it.
He's got like a 270 point lead, which is crazy in drag racing.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder. I don't know if they get anything special if they sweep all three, but I know it's a recognition at least.
The last person to do it was like 2009. Antron Brown did it in Top Fuel.
Okay.
There has not been many. John Force has only ever done it once. That was back in the 90s.
Well, it can't be easy. I mean,
Tony Schumacher's done it. Antron's done it.
well, it's definitely not easy. You got to be away from home for that many weeks and that far away from everything. So, and you don't get to work on the cars or anything. Go back to the shop. You kind of just get what you get and you roll with it.
Yeah.
With them, it's been working, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think they have to change too much.
Right.
Moving to funny car.
So my Top Fuel classes, I'm sticking with California drivers. So Funny Car, he's been quiet lately. He's bound, the Proc Rocket's bound to show up here one of these times. So I got Robert Height.
I've got one that's been quiet for the last few weeks as well. But future Hall of Famer in drag racing, Ron Capps.
Can't go wrong picking cabs.
What?
Said you can't go wrong with picking
I
cabs.
they said you're wrong. I'm like, I mean, probably, but
No, you can't go wrong with picking cabs.
And Top Fuel, who you got?
Sticking with California, and the only team that I know of is really based out of California, John Force Racing, and she's been super fast qualifying, setting track records. Man, at some point she's got to put 4 rounds together here on Sundays. I got Brittany Force.
I'm not going with Brittany Force. So we actually, besides Gage Herrera, which we expect to have the same one, I have a different pick. I have Sean Langdon for Top Fuel.
Okay, yeah, Sean Langdon's about due for one too as well.
Yeah, I mean, and randomly I did well in my picks in drag racing.
Yes,
that last week was probably the best week I've ever had. And if for a certain number 11 driver in the Cup Series, it didn't race like he did, I probably would have been right in the Cup Series pick too. You know what? Why not? But anyways, I'm not mad about that at all. And let's move on. Let's go to SRX. We didn't talk about this last week because we suck.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
And I mean, the only thing that sucks about SRX right now is that they start the heats at 9:00 instead of the actual feature at 9:00. Having the heats when they did it at like 8:00 last year, that was great because it only takes about an hour or so to race their races, anyways.
Yeah.
But with the heats, it adds a little bit longer, and if you're in bed, you're like, sometimes.
Yeah, I really don't know why they're starting so late on a
It's probably
Saturday night. It would be okay.
It's probably
nothing else on ESPN.
It was just
you got nothing else on there anymore. So why not start it at 8:00? And
I'm sure it was something they had to work with ESPN. It was, I'm sure, something in the contract, and Disney has their own way of doing shit anyway, so that's probably a little bit of it too. But SRX been fun. Awesome for Ryan Newman to get back into victory lane. He probably would have won the first race to Stafford too because he was mowing down Denny. He gets the win last week, and he's a regular this year. He's racing all season long. One of 8 drivers or something that are racing full time. But heading to the Motor Mile at Pulaski Raceway Park.
Yeah, it's a .416 paved oval. It's relatively banked, 15-degree bank turn, 7-degree straights. I didn't really see it, but in my mind, it kind of reminds me of Dover, Delaware, with the banking on the straightaway. So I think this is going to be one of those where I think it's going to be an exciting race. I think you're going to pass. I think you're going to have to do the bump and run to get them out of the way a little bit. give them a little shove in the corner, move them up, maybe sort of like old Bristol. Now, obviously, the banking's not like that, but the track's a lot smaller. So lower bank and a smaller track's gonna
and
those
Tony,
cars are big, so it's gonna
yeah,
be. I think that's gonna be a fun race. I'm gonna try to stay up to watch that one.
yeah, and Tony wants to see that. He wants to see bumper runs. He doesn't want to see deliberate crashes or anything, but he wants you to have fun, bump and run, and just enjoy because that's what it's all about. Yeah, they're kind of racing for a championship, but honestly, it's for fun. They're racing for fun here, and they just, I mean, some of the best drivers of all time are racing in it. And he wants to get Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr., but they might have to race at a big ass facility if they're going to get one of those two. Because I don't know how you can fit everybody if the junior wants to race. That'd be cool if they race.
Yeah, especially if they could get, well, if they could bring it to one of the little North Carolina tracks there or something like that.
Wilkesboro would be about perfect. Any bigger than Wilkesboro, I don't think they could. These cars would really do.
No, yeah,
I mean, they probably could, but that's just not what the series is really about. But all right, well, finally we're gonna. Well, I think we did get a pick in the first week, but getting back into it, who's your pick for SRX this Thursday night?
Well, I changed it after you sent me that thing of who was all running, so we're gonna go with Kyle Busch on this one.
Yeah, I think this is one. This might be the only race he's racing in them, so he might run the shit out of it. That'll be cool to see. I've got the boss man Tony Stewart for this one. Got a bump. That's
who I originally had.
Yeah, you got a bump and run, and no one's really better than bump and running than Tony, and being real aggressive with it. So we'll see how that goes. And we both were right. Obviously, last week we both picked Newman just off camera. So yeah, we know what we're doing.
I did have Denny Hamlin the first week, just so you know.
And I think I had Newman as well. Did I have Newman the first week? I think I had Newman the first week. Nope, never mind. I had Marco. No, never mind. And we're only talking about it.
But Joseph Newgarden, the winner of the swept Iowa race, is going to be running SRX on an oval. So
I thought about it too.
Yeah. They're not IndyCars anymore, though, Joseph. So, but good for him running there.
Yeah, but
supposedly Ron Capps is running some races at some point.
He's running Eldora. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah, Capps is an old dirt racer, so good for him.
Yeah, and Elio's won a race in those before, so it can be done by IndyCar.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting into the three big series of the week. The Truck Series and the Cup Series are both at Richmond, while Xfinity is at Road America. Let's just start at Xfinity. That's the first race up this weekend, and then nighttime on Saturday night's Trucks. Road America, big ass.
4 point something mile. It's a beautiful track. It's really neat watching it because it takes like 2 minutes to go around the whole thing. It's pretty cool. 4 point something miles. Like the whole race is like 50 laps or something like that. It's crazy. It is a little bit narrow. Passing is difficult there for sure. You're going to see some cars running off the track here and there, especially when you're getting down towards the end.
I hope they do a better job than what the Truck Series did at their last road course, because somehow at a road course they were able to bring out so many full course cautions that it was just unbelievable. So hopefully the Xfinity can not get stuck in the gravel they have laid out, and just, if they're going to spin out and keep going, because that was the races take a long time if they have full course cautions, because NASCAR's got to get their media time and dick around and all that stuff.
Yeah, they'll dick around and have 5-6 caution laps on this track where it takes 10 minutes to go around the track at 50 miles an hour.
Well, this used to be, temporarily was the July 4th weekend race, but they moved it just for Xfinity. I don't think Cup's racing there this year, so I think Xfinity's the only shot at racing at Road America for NASCAR. There's a bunch of different road course racers that are probably being plugged into it, but they also got a bunch of regulars that are very good road course experience. So who you got to take this road course?
I'm going to go on a little of a bold pick, and I don't know how bold it is. He's a very good road course racer. He was close in Chicago. He was running well. I got Parker Kligerman.
Parker's due for a win.
I'd love to see. He would be so excited. I think I'd be a very.
He's had like the worst
big fan favorite,
and I think it would be the big favorite for NBC too. Well, he does work for NBC, so yeah, it would be the favorite. But as much bad luck as he had, yeah, as he's had this year, yeah, and he needs to get a win too to get into the playoffs. I'm the guy that won a few weeks back at Portland, and you picked him, of course. So I'm going to take some of that strategy. I'm going with Cole Custer.
I was originally going to pick him again.
Ha! All right. Going into Richmond, you got that behind you. Truck series are at nighttime, and I've been saying it. I wish the cups would remain at nighttime. Surprised NASCAR doesn't want to just do a Sunday night. This is one race I'd be cool if they did a Sunday night or Sunday evening into night. But
yeah, it's a shorter race. Doesn't last as long. Yeah, it'd be all right. Started at 6 o'clock, or something like that, and be done by 10.
It's 3 o'clock, so it's going to be probably a hot and slick track for the Cup race.
I would think so.
And Richmond, what, 3/4 mile racetrack?
Yeah, 3/4 mile, D-shaped oval. Normally, it puts on really good. You can really do some side-by-side racing here. These cars on these tracks lately, I don't know.
They haven't figured it out yet.
No, they've got, the intermediate tracks have been pretty good racing. The speedways have been pretty good racing. These short tracks, I don't know.
They still haven't quite figured it out.
They need to, I don't know. They need to bring the power back to these things, or, I think high horsepower, low downforce. If you're ballsy enough to haul it in there around the outside, you can make it stick.
And they've been saying take the spoilers off completely.
Yeah.
Just have nothing back.
I think I would eliminate some of the stuff under the car.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll put on a good show. Truck race, it'll probably be a bunch of cautions. I keep saying it every week. I keep shitting on trucks. I feel bad that I keep shitting on them like that. But I mean,
they're hard to watch, man. I'll tell you, it's
like I said, when they go to a road course and there's not supposed to be cautions, and they bring out all the fucking cautions, it's just like, what the hell? But I mean, it could be really good bump and run racing, and if you're there at the end, you've got a shot. And I think you'll see you'll see at least one green white checkered at the end, and that's always fun to see. So truck race, I mean, there's about 5 drivers you can pick. I haven't got any single one damn right this year, really. Maybe a couple, but no. I keep having faith in Matt Crafton, and he just seems like he's just not fast this year.
Yeah, I think age is catching up to Matt Crafton a little bit. So I got a young guy. Who you got? Little controversial earlier in this year. I think maybe he straightened himself out a little bit. Carson Hocevar.
And that's the rumor that's who Junior is targeting for his Xfinity ride. And there's also a rumor that Jeffrey Earnhardt's going. Whoever can bring the sponsors is who Junior's going to go with, and he wants to go with the young guy too. I'm going with pretty much a gimme anymore. I'm going with Zane Smith. Fast every week. Can't really go against them. Fords have been fast, minus Matt Crafton. Zane Smith's been solid all year. All right. Cup Series. I've been wrong a lot. My picks were so bad last week that I caused the driver to get fired. So and not only once but twice Larson crashed in this last race. So it doesn't matter who I pick in the Cup race; they're gonna wreck. So, who's your pick for the Cup race on Sunday afternoon?
I don't know if your power rankings came out before or after we did this section, but I got him number 1 in your power rankings right now, Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, it just came out earlier in the show, so yeah, I've got him as well. Bam.
He's been, again, he's been fastest car the last several weeks.
Yeah, and it's not Martinsville. It's a Virginia track, shorter track. He's been just put it on clinics with them this year.
I can see Tyler Reddick being fast, but they have been doing something to screw themselves up and taking themselves out of the race. So I didn't want to pick him.
Yeah, I mean, and Larson won there earlier this year. You can look for him, but I'm not picking him again.
Mom did though. Mom's pick is Larson.
Okay, well, I mean, her picks don't have a curse like mine do, so it's fine. All right, and I think that does it for all the picks this week. Make sure everybody, you go check out if you didn't check out yet, look at the power rankings. There will be a few clips of the power rankings coming out everywhere you get your social media stuff. follow ZB Media Productions anywhere you get your podcast, wherever you get your social media. Just check it out. I butchered that segment right there. But if you find, just search it, just ZB Media or something. You'll find it and find the show. Obviously on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, leave any comments. Got any questions? We'll get to it next week. Let's have some fun with racing this week. I'll just get through tonight and racing every day here on out.
Yep. If you're, going through racing withdrawal, you're not going to go through it this week. You can, 6 out of the 7 nights, you're all set.
Yep. All right, Dad. Till next week. We'll see you then.
All right. Bye, everybody.